Alright, so now today we'll be talking about independence and the multiplication rule. Okay, so whenever you mention independence, you got to mention dependence. Okay, so independence is two events are independent if the occurrence of one does not change the probability of the other occurring. Okay, and dependent is if the occurrence of one event does affect the probability of the other occurring, then the events are dependent. Okay, so the important thing is dependence does affect other probabilities, independence does not affect them. Okay, so if you remember last time we talked about the specific addition rule, today we'll be talking about the general addition rule. Okay, so multiplication rule, the probability of A and B, if they're independent, well, A and B, if they're independent of each other, is going to be, well, if they're not mutually exclusive, okay, probability of A and B is going to be equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. You guys have seen it so many times before in your maths, okay? And the general addition rule, and a lot of people forget about this one. The general addition rule is the probability of A or B, and this is non-mutual, is the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B, okay? Because if you think about it, here's what you're doing. All right, so let's say let's say that A was all even numbers on dice, so 2, 4, 6. Okay, and let's say B was all multiples of 3. Multiples of 3, 3 comma 6. Okay, so the probability of A happening is going to be 3 out of 6 plus 2 out of 6. Okay, and most people will say, oh, it's 5 out of 6 and we're done. But here's the thing. If you notice right here, we've double counted 6. And this will always happen when you have a non-mutual event. Okay, so since you've double counted it, you just have to subtract that 1. Okay, which is minus 6, or minus 1, 6. Okay, and this turns into 4, 6, which makes total sense because if you just count out the terms and you don't double count 1, 2, 3 in A, and then one that's not shared, 4 right here. So that makes total sense with the 4. Okay, so you could either look at all the events and then count up the objects that aren't repeating, okay, or you can just go ahead and use the general addition rule. Okay, that's pretty much it for independence and the multiplication rule. You are going to find a lot of interesting stuff with it, and you can always have multiple additions. So like the probability of A and B and C, you would just multiply those 3 together. Okay, and you would want to make sure if you're doing the general addition rule that you be very careful if you do 3 or more events in the general addition rule that you're not double counting a whole bunch of items. So sometimes it's better to just make a Venn diagram, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, that's it for independence and multiplication rule. Hope you guys have a good day.